Let's rock and roll. Here we go. I'm Autumn Brown, front woman of the soul pop band Autumn, all caps. A queer science fiction writer, a theologian, a mother of dragons, and a healing justice facilitator for social movements living on Dakota and Anishinaabe land, currently known as Minneapolis.
And I'm Adrienne Marie Brown. I'm a weirdo. I'm a luscious Black queer witch, writer auntie, an apocalyptic love scholar. I'm really in a weird mood today, so
yeah, you are.
Public conversationalist, though, and also a gardener of healing ideas, not actual gardens, but I'm learning.
Right.
I live in the land of the Okanichi. Well, I just have to tell you, I showed up to an event recently and someone was like, I love that you're a gardener. And they were really starting to talk about gardening things. And I was like, oops, that metaphor went too hard.
Right.
I live in the land of the Okanichi, Shikori, Screwray, Tuscarora, Eno, and Lumbee peoples, currently called Durham.
Where we garden in metaphor only. And this
I have a banging garden. I just need someone to teach me how to go harvest stuff out of it right now.
Yeah, okay. Exactly.
Ooh, what is this?
What is this? This is how to survive the end of the world.
This is our podcast about learning from apocalypse with grace, rigor, and curiosity.
As a reminder, we have no ads. We are fully listener supported.
And you may notice that you are listening right now, so join our Patreon for exclusive content. All right. Autumn, part of this is because both of us acknowledge that we're funny, but we don't always show up as funny on the page.
Yes.
And I think this is like...
Just so we're working it out. We're working out in public.
We're working out. Yeah. I was like, don't underestimate how silly it can get. Yeah. Silly and funny are different. Anyway, okay. We have incredible guests today, which is why the zhuzh is all zhuzhed up right now.
It's so zhuzhed up.
As soon as we saw them, we started screaming, and that lasted for a long time. The people that we love that are here with us today are Shaun and Abigail Bengson, the Bengsons. You may have seen them all over the television and the internet. So I'm going to give a extended bio because these are the homies and I really want you to understand this love story. So Abigail and Shaun and Abigail Bengson are in love, and their love is a creative, holy channel of music and babies and rituals and miracles. They have been making art together for years, including the shows Sundown Yellow Moon and The Lucky Ones. I'm going to share a bit of our shared history instead of a traditional bio. I first heard them at the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic when everyone was like, what the hell is going on? And everything was locking down and we were all trying to figure out where to be. And they recorded this song called the Keep Going song in the basement of one of your parents' homes. And it went viral, both because it sounds so good and because it was so honest and so raw and so real.
This is the keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going on song. This is the keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going on song. This is the keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going on song. I am Abigail, and this is Shaun, and we're so glad that you've turned this on and welcomed us into your home, and you are welcome into our home. We're in Dayton, Ohio. We're in Shaun's parents' house.
My parents' house.
Shaun's parents' house. We were in Louisville when the shit hit, and we packed our 3-year-old into a car. We drove kind of far. We drove here, and we've been so lucky and blessed to be safely here. And we thought we'd be here for like 10 days.
And they ended up building a whole show of Keep Going songs, as well as sovereignty hymns, which I later got to guest on. And I would say that they sing feelings that invite us into the present. So things that we're scared to feel, they're like, we'll feel them and we'll sing them, and then you'll be able to feel them and we'll all feel them together and they will transform into something else. So when we heard the Keep Going song, they were invited into this spiritual grief and survival space that I was a part of called Pandemic Joy, which was initiated by our mutual friend Malkia Cyril. And Malkia is a friend of the pod. Malkia was figuring out actually how to survive the pandemic in the wake of losing their soulmate. And the Bengsons came and they blew Malkia out of the water and me out of the water and everyone else. And they would perform regularly in that space. And I'm telling you, through a Zoom with people all over multiple continents, anytime they came on, we all had goosebumps and we were all crying, and they just became a part of the community, and we all fell in collective love with each other. We didn't get to hug for the first time until like 2023 when they came to see my ritual to feel a thing in New York. Wow. Yeah. So we like loved each other for years. And I have to say, Abigail has coached me through the process of learning to spirit sing and spirit songwrite and unleash and harness the wildness of what a voice can be when it's holding spirit. They actually produced my Fables and Spells songs, which are my little meditative offers. So we go in. And so then this past year, they put on this miracle of a show called My Joy is Heavy. And Autumn got to go witness this show in person. And then afterwards, like called me and we were like screaming because I was like, can you believe they exist? And she's like, I can't believe they exist. Entire time. I cried the whole time and I held the plant. So
literally from start to finish.
And all of that brought them onto the Jimmy Kimmel show. They weave their grief and their major life and health changes and their love of brilliant babies, both living in spirit and their processing of the world, into their conversational folk punk gospels. And we are so beyond honored to have them here with us today.
Welcome to the show, Shaun and Abigail.
Oh, God.
It felt good to say that. I love you so much.
I love you.
So we like to check in now. So we like to blow people away with love. And then we just like to be like, now how are you? So, but we'll start with Autumn so you guys can integrate that all a little bit. But Autumn, girl, how you doing?
Wow. Well, I am just overflowing with joy to be here right now today with you all, and just getting to like recall in my body what it felt like to sit in the theater at New York Theater Workshop and take in the show. I sat in the front row and I was just like, I'm not ever trying to avoid the front row of a show because I pride myself on being a really great audience member.
You are.
Thank you. So grateful to be here. Today is my senior's prom. And so after this is over, I am going to help him get dressed in his amazing outfit that we handpicked last week. And he really had a vision. He had a vision for what he wanted to. It's actually royal blue on black with a splash of red. Yes. He had a vision, and it really it's like Keanu Reeves and John Wick. It's like the vibe. And so I'm very pleased, very excited. I'll get to like help him get dressed, and then I'm going to bring him to his friend's house and do prom photos. And yeah, we're in the senior year. There's all these traditions that go with senior year of high school, and we're like really in the it's like week after week after week of traditions, and it's so sweet, and I'm so proud of him, and so like I just love the young adult that he's grown into. He's like really an amazing person. And yeah, so that's me today. My mom heart is like overflowing, and spring is springing here. It is fucking green and budding out, and my, allergies are, also overflowing, but it's like, I don't mind it because I'm just like, yes. The earth.
That's right.
That's me.
Y'all really earn spring up there.
We really do, especially this winter, man, for a whole variety of reasons.
Yeah, I'm just like, we need a whole 3 more seasons where no ice can be there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's me.
Beautiful. I'm really glad you're here and to see all that joy on your face, mother joy.
Yeah.
Abigail, how are you, my love?
Oh my goodness. I love you so much. I'm really sort of vibrating, and like I have this feeling in my body that I usually only get when I'm about to sing, and I'm trying to like ride it in a different way.
And also, you're totally welcome to sing it if you want to.
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel,
just
but
so you know.
that's like that happens when I am around you. That I feel everything that wants to be sung is like, is it my turn? Is it my turn? Is it now? Is it time? And I actually have to work hard to stay in just my ordinary personhood. You know what I mean? And say like, here I am, one individual person with feelings and thoughts and a history. Does that, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So I do. And, I have to remind our listeners that they also got to hear you during our witch season. And so that happened back then.
Yeah.
Like when we talked during the witch season, the same thing happened where it's like, oh, and then it's like, okay, wait, in the body, in the talking.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I'm feeling like the incredible gift of knowing you a little longer and getting to turn ordinary together, like getting to become smaller together. I was thinking today, it makes me laugh because still after all these years, this is sort of a different thing, but I still think before I do this thing, do this conversation or go on stage or whatever I'm going to do, hold this ritual, I'm going to be like this. I'm going to go on a walk. I'm going to say a prayer. I'm going to drink this certain drink. I'm going to have slept so well. I'm going to exercise, whatever it is. Like I'm going to become this vessel that is other than what I am. And it's going to be so sweet. And then especially if you're like a caregiver. And I think if you're a caregiver, I extend that into being in movement space in any kind, a caregiver for the world. The world knocks and then you're changing, there's poop on you and there's some food in your hair and you're, and then that's what I bring. So I think this is a beautiful invitation to me to be in sort of a wholeness that includes my ordinary smallness and this other vessel thing that I am. So I appreciate that. And I see it in y'all and feel well met.
Well met.
Welcome. I love you. I love you too, Shaun. How are you doing?
I love you too. I'm just so happy to be here with you guys. It's really just wonderful to see your faces and hear your voices. And, like this is actually kind of our first little moment of expanse in a couple of years. And the 2 years before that was with a child under 2, so I feel like in a way I'm like kind of surfacing after like this 5-year, journey. And so I kind of don't know how I am, or I'm like discovering it day to day. And just like all sorts of memories from just all these different moments and places are just popping up. And it's like, oh, wow, that happened. And I haven't thought about that having happened.
Yeah.
And so it's leaving my capacity like frighteningly low in this moment when I can give into it. It can be kind of a sweet feeling. But then when I ask almost anything of myself, I start to crumble. So it's wild. It's wild. But I'm really grateful to have this moment to reflect together. And I'm really grateful to get to think about the show because I'm also now, so much of, being busy people and having like our kids and just always going from one to the next. I just kind of have to be in go mode for the most part. And so I'm really, now I'm getting to think back and feeling like how did I feel doing that show? And how did I feel in all of those moments with the beautiful community of people around us? And so I feel really grateful for this moment to get to think about it together and get to open that book a little together.
Cool.
I love that.
What about you, Adrienne? How
are you doing?
How am I doing? Well, I mean, obviously the love cauldron is popping for me right now. I'm loving being here with you all. And it's been a really sweet, tender time. So, I'm trying to think. I don't think we've recorded since I turned in a big draft of this book I've been working on for the past year. And I'm supposed to get the edits back today or tomorrow. But I've been like in the writing cave, really trying to do right by this book. And the impact of it is it has made me feel so much more in love with my life and like all the people in my life. And so like one of the things that happened was I was like, it was Mother's Day and I was like, oh, this is in the window. Like I'm in, I can't edit my book. I need to not touch it actually right now. So I was like, I'm going to go do a surprise my mom for Mother's Day. And so I drove down and it turned out she was at my grandma's house. So I drove to my grandma's house and surprised her and my grandma and a bunch of other folks. But my dad knew I was coming and it was really cute. He helped me. He like snuck me into the house and stuff.
He's good with the hoodwink.
He's so good. I mean, like this is our family. This is one of our family rituals. It's like
it is
pulling off surprises for each other of this sort. Because I'm like, don't do it to me, but like we love to do it to them.
Exactly.
I'm like, don't ever do that.
We do it to them and we do it to the kids. That's it.
And we do it to the kids, and they are the right. They're the right people for that, and they love it. And we had the best time. It was just like, oh right, like I really love kicking it with my parents. They're cool people. And I have a lot of people around me who've lost their parents. And it really, in the writing process, I was like, wow, it is such a gift that my mom is alive and my grandma's alive and that I can go hug them and like honor them on this day. It just really has left me full. And I keep finding like, the smallness of the life that I can handle right now that I'm like, there's some really massive things changing around us, I'm like, oh, look at the iceberg of the voting rights crisis and look at the iceberg of the Iran war and like trying to figure out like how to steer my little ship through the waters and like just keep the boat intact, right? Like, I'm not at the level. I really appreciate that so many people are like, what are we going to do? What's our strategy? Like what? And I'm just sort of like, I think our souls are like required to let go of this experiment right now. And like, how do I keep my little boat intact? And so the final thing I'll say is I just got to spend the last 2 days like speed reading through Autumn's new book. And I'm going to talk about it for Top Culture just briefly, just say I'm like, it answers, like, it was just like, here's how you do it. Here's how you get your boat through the icebergs. And so, I'm feeling like, oh, I'm in a world in crisis, but I'm in relationship to all the right people for that. And that feels really good.
Hell yeah.
So I want to share a tarot card before we jump into our conversation, which I pulled today from the Lineages of Change Tarot, and it is the Ace of Water.
Whoa.
Which totally makes sense given that we're talking to y'all, because the suit of water is all about water flow, the ever-changing force of emotions and relationships. The Ace of Water holds all the potential treasures of connection, aliveness, and love. Love is the force of life pouring through and between us. The love we cultivate in our lives for ourselves and for others is how we say yes to life within us, how we make ourselves receptive to the gift of the life we have been given.
Wow.
Which is totally what y'all do. So let's get into this conversation with y'all. We want to hear you tell us about how you met and how you knew you were meant to make music together.
We met, 18 years ago.
Yeah.
We met 18 years ago at this party in Queens. We're in this little pickup band, but we're never like alone in the same room together. We were kind of like knew of each other a little bit. And then I was teaching special ed at the time. This is in New York City. Finally I was like, okay, I've been here long enough. I'm starting to feel a little afloat with teaching. I'm going to start my own band. Abigail came, I asked Abigail to be in the band with me. She showed up. I met her at the subway and I was like, oh, you look fancy today. And I realized like, oh no, I just let her know that I think she's pretty. And I felt a little embarrassed. And then we had our rehearsal and the rest of the band went home. Then 3 weeks later we were married.
Wait. The rest of the band went home, ... And then we got married.
We got married.
So that was a hot night.
It was,
we wrote our first song together.
Yeah, we did.
That night. And
so
and the other thing, like from my when I first saw him, when I was 15 years old, this is ridiculous to be saying this out loud, but when I was 15 years old and my family was falling apart, I had a dream that the love of my life was coming. And I saw him very clearly, and he said some things to me. And when I saw him at that party in Queens, I was like, it's him. Like, I knew that it was him. And I was terrified because that felt like something like a crazy person would say out loud to another human. And it felt,
how many years later is that?
Exactly. Now
we were 23.
We were 23.
So it was like 9 years.
From 15 to 23.
Like
okay.
Yeah, not that long.
Like you dreamt it, and then 7 years later you met him, and then 18 years later you're like blowing our socks off
together. Yeah. So So the 3 weeks of waiting to be married actually felt like a very long time.
Yeah, it did. It was terrifying.
It was a huge relief to be married, and I felt like then I could actually start getting to know him.
I really did. I really did feel. I didn't think this is how. I didn't think this is how like love worked. I didn't think it was something that could move like that. And I don't think it's the only way that love. I don't think it's the only way that love can work, but I didn't think that was one of the options on the table. And I like after that first rehearsal, I called my best friend and I was like, I think I've met my person, and either like maybe we get to spend our life together or I live heartbroken forever is really how it felt. And it just felt so audacious that she could possibly feel the same way. So there was this sort of existential, like life stakes panic in that time. And then just the sheer relief, when we realized it's like how we both felt and what we wanted. And then there was a chapter of kind of fudging the dates for people in our lives. So like people didn't think we were too,
right.
Off our rockers.
Now, like 2 children in and like almost
that's
20
right.
years, we can tell the truth about.
Like, see, we were right, everybody.
Yeah, we were right.
Back off.
Yeah, you're like, you can judge us if you want to, but it turns out in this case
Yeah.
we were correct. Yeah.
Wow.
That's right. Not right about everything, but right about this.
And the music, I love that. I want to make sure people hear that you wrote your first song right away, and like basically the coming together romantically was completely synced with the coming together artistically. Like it was one.
That's right.
Merging.
That's right.
Merging.
It was like our primary. It was like a language we had each had with ourselves and with the world.
Yeah.
And it was the first time that it was like meeting in this sort of other plane together where we could share this language. So we spoke in that way. I think there's something of like a very old-fashioned courtship in it, that we were sort of speaking in these poetic ways together very early. And that's so it's always been entwined, which is, complicated.
Yeah.
But for us really right,
Wow.
And the other thing that sealed the deal was bug facts. We shared bug facts with each other.
So much about
and they still do.
We're so into
You're just both
like
really
as their
into
friend,
bugs.
they will send like random things about like a bug, like to the group chat, and it's just like, oh, that's your love language. I feel loved.
It's to feel awe about the world is like my best, quickest medicine. It's like, yes, all of this, but did you know? Did you know? It's good news.
Well, this helps make a lot of sense of what I experienced when I got to see My Joy is Heavy at New York Theater Workshop back in April. And so I want to transition us to talking about that show, which was really, I've never seen anything quite like it. So you tell some of the origin story of the show inside the show, that you had this commission that you received, if I'm remembering it accurately, to make new work during the pandemic, which led to a lot of these like home recordings that you ultimately integrate into the show in a really interesting way. And for me, the integration of the home recordings and the way you interact with them, it was one of the things that made the show like feel very original and simultaneously very raw, very, very raw. Because it was also like time traveling back to this moment in our collective history that we all experienced in private. And anyway, so I'm curious if you could just talk about how the work evolved and also how it changed from what you thought you were making into the grief musical that you ultimately made.
Yeah. I mean, when we first started making that commission, we thought we were going to make something. I had been unwell for a long time and sort of mysteriously unwell and had not yet sort of radically, joyfully come into my identity as a disabled person. And I had all this internalized ableism. And I was like, if I find the right thing, I will become my whole self. And that whole self is not a sick person. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That, and I had some really ugly stuff that I did not invent, but I did swallow around the idea that in some way a healthy body is a more righteous body, you know, that like if you are unwell on some level, it's your fault, especially I think if you've been told it's mysterious, if you've gone to a doctor and they've been like, I don't know, are you just like really anxious or sad or like, are you just kind of a bummer? Like,
Oh,
like, you know what I mean?
that,
If you've been if you've been met with that, you start to go, well, maybe it is me. And maybe it's
Maybe I'm
not me in
dramatic.
this. Yeah. Like I'm sensitive and like, check. Yeah, sure I am. But like, I feel like I had sort of taken in that I was a project to solve. And it was my individual responsibility to solve it. I didn't think about it in terms of the collective. I didn't think about it. You know what I'm saying? Okay, y'all know what I'm talking about. So we started, but we were interested in sort of just peeling back a tiny bit of ourselves enough to interrogate that. And the question we started to ask ourselves was, could we be in a pleasurable, joyful body and be sick? Or can those things exist together? And of course they can. But at the time it was a very real question. And we thought that's what the question would be. And then I got pregnant. And became terrified of losing this baby. We had had a miscarriage in the past that was extraordinarily transformative. It was a portal we moved through together. And then had our son Louis. And Louis had, when he was born, some serious complications and we didn't think he was going to make it. It was very frightening. So when we got pregnant again, rather than feeling a celebration in my heart, I felt terror in my heart. And so then we're like, well, okay, can we look at that? You know, can we hold this pregnancy joyfully and behave with love, move with love, embrace loving this being that will die either hopefully long after us or maybe during our lifetimes, right? And so we were like, okay, let's try that. And we were making art about that. And then I did lose that pregnancy. I did lose that baby. We did lose that baby. And it was like, okay, now everything that I've been singing about and talking about and experimenting about, now I have to ask myself, am I for real? Like it felt like, can I hold this idea? Can I hold the joy that I let this baby give me? Can I hold the love that I let in even now, especially now? And we started to make art about that. So it changed and changed and changed, and continues to change. And as we made it into a piece of theater, I think the biggest shift for us was how alone we were in the making of it, how very private and alone that experience was when we were making it as a video piece. You know, it was literally during lockdown, you know, it was a really isolated moment, which was also through necessity a sort of fertile hibernation, but lonely too. And this was a way to unalone ourselves, you know, to say, okay, actually, this is a story that belongs to so many people. You know, it's not just mine to carry, and I don't have to carry it by myself, or Shaun doesn't have to carry it by himself. And we can bring it into a room, and we can turn ecstatic. We can turn together. We can turn into community. We can grieve ourselves alive, you know, and that's what it became for me.
Yeah, it was an extraordinary thing moving from such a small, private, contained thing into this. You know, we had our 6-person band with us, and we had our beautiful director and dramaturgs and choreographer and music director. And then the theater itself, just to put up anything, there's just so many people involved. You know, it was probably like a 60, 70 person team behind this little show. And it was a pretty extraordinary, healing, very vulnerable thing to get to move into communities so deeply. And the other point, the title, My Joy is Heavy, was inspired by Malkia in Pandemic Joy.
Wow.
Malkia, when it would give these talks that were just really extraordinary. I always just felt like, wow, I can't believe I'm getting to be here sharing in this. And Malkia was talking about having lost their wife, Alana, and how it was the most painful thing, but there was also just the joy of the love that they made, and the love that Mac it carries on within them, and that it was a heavy joy. You know, it's a joy, but a joy that was so heavy to carry, and that they said that in the aftermath of having lost the pregnancy, and it just hit so deep, and it felt like that is the words for this feeling, where we really did, you know, in deciding in that pregnancy to live, just to try to live in the joy of it, to know that we can't protect ourselves from grief. There's not, you know, and differently than in losses before, I really could feel that joy living still within me. And that inspired the title song, My Joy is Heavy. And the first time that we sang an early version of it was in Pandemic Joy.
My joy is heavy. Oh, help me carry the joy that comes at the end of a life, at the end of a walking, at the very beginning. This heavy joy that I marry and I delight. I do not know where I am going, but I am going. Oh, I am going every day. And what I carry, oh, it can sustain me if I carry it this way. Oh, my joy is heavy.
My joy is
Oh, won't you help me carry the joy that comes at the end of a life?
So I just feel such a happy, heavy debt of love to Malkia and that whole community. I feel just really transformed by our time in that space.
Wow. Amazing. I have another question about it's kind of about the doing of the show. Because during the show, you reenact some of the most painful elements of your fertility journey, of the miscarriage. As an audience member, as someone who has experienced miscarriage, it was incredibly raw to like just be with what was happening on stage in a way that was incredibly healing for me. But also as an audience maker, as an audience member, and as like an artist, like someone who makes work, I think it felt all the more raw knowing that you're recreating these actual moments from your actual life on stage night after night. And I'm just curious to know
It's intense. It's a big ask.
Yeah, it's a big ask. And I think the thing I left really wondering about is like, okay, how did you fortify yourself to do this kind of performance? And I'm just curious to know if to the extent that you feel comfortable sharing, like what was some of the physical and emotional preparation and aftercare that you did for your bodies and for your hearts and soma around this performance?
Every once in a while, we sort of have a little moment of perspective about the thing that we've decided to do with our lives. It is a little outrageous. I think like, I don't mean that in any other way than like it is a lot to carry, and we could have chosen to do anything.
Yeah.
You know? Like including like we do this and then the New York Times writes about it, and like, you know what I mean? Like it is an intense thing. You know, like we are story animals. And it's, and even in this moment, as I'm trying to figure out the story of having done it, the work of crafting it, brings so much meaning to me, in moving through these painful things. And then in the doing of it, you know, it's like the original ore that we're pulling from, but then it really does become this external thing, you know, these like movements that I have to do and these notes that I have to sing and these words that I have to say, that when we're doing it, it's very much about the physical task of doing it, of preparing my body, preparing my voice. And then in the doing of it, it's like performing, I mean, it can be incredibly volatile in my little self, but it's also one of my favorite like states to be in. And so I just also, even in the exhaustion of doing an 8-show week for weeks on end, I just feel so much gratitude that this is what we're getting to do. And I really like, in the way that I didn't think love worked this way, I really didn't think growing up that this was genuinely an option, you know? So I still feel like really grateful just to be getting to do it. So there are definitely, I go on rides. Some days are hard. Some days I feel filled up with it. But just coming home to the gratitude of being allowed to, and the gratitude of getting to move through these moments in a way that brings meaning to me and connection to me with others. I'm just really, I'm really grateful for.
Oh my love. I experienced it as a tremendous relief to get to tell the truth about it.
Wow.
And I feel like so much, I have spent so much energy holding in, walking around and trying to put the broken basket of myself back together enough to seem all right, you know, and like do little things, you know, and
I did something.
Yeah, exactly. Like here it is. And it feels like an enormous relief to carefully and skillfully be so for real about how it lives in my body every minute, just all the time. And I remember when I had my first miscarriage, and I had also experienced this was before because I'm 1,000 years old, this is also before video cell phones, but
Right.
like taking care of my mom when I was, when, but when I was a teenager, I took care of my mom when she was really, really sick. And I remember this impulse of wishing I could show you the real part and things that you do in solitude, like so much of miscarrying or pregnancy loss is like you see stuff in your underwear. No one's ever going to see that but you. Maybe you take, you're never going to be able to describe the blood of it.
Yeah.
And it felt an enormous relief to me to say it was like this. And really, as you know, it sort of only touches it. It sort of only touches it to show it that way. But I also get to literally sing my way through it. So the part of me that will forever be on the toilet discovering a miscarriage, or forever be in the bed birthing life and death at the same time, the part of me that will be answering a phone call and lying about who I am or how I am that day, the part of me that will always live in those moments gets to be unstuck and fluid and literally sung alive and sung to and sung through when I'm doing that work. So for me, it's there's a relief in it. It's like, this is how it really is. And it makes me want to live. It makes me want to make you want to live, It's like it turns into a life space, which makes it better for me. And I have to stretch a lot, and I have to eat some protein, and I have to drink so much water, and I have to do all of those things.
Right.
And it's much easier for me to do those things in the name of caring for a project or caring for this than it is when it's just for my own ass. Then I get dehydrated,
Yeah, that's really beautifully said, Abigail.
Wow. Thank you both.
Yeah, it really is like, I feel so moved, of course. But I feel so moved. This season is all about art. Everyone we're talking to are like people who are, art is the way that we are responding to the world, and art is the way we're trying to shape it and shape the culture and like make more possible. And I just feel like what you just described is the essence of why, it's just like going all the way in and just being like, the truth lives here. This is the truth. And I have enough of some gift to be able to present it, and you can feel it. The people who it's for are like crying from the very first second to the last. And then it's not just catharsis, but like portal, it's so beautiful to hear you speak about this. Like I said, I just turned in this draft, and I was just in it, but I was like, I'm so happy. I'm like the whole time I was like, I'm being so healthy, and I'm doing my yoga, and I'm living my life of love. And then the last little push, it was like, I'm bearing down and I'm pushing something out of my body, and
Hell yeah.
out of body, in body, the whole thing. But I'm like, I can't express to you how much I love this.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm writing about also pregnancy loss and other heartaches and griefs. And I'm like, it's just so relieving. It's exactly what you're saying. It's so relieving to be able to be in the truth for any moment that you can carve out. And then to get to be an artist is to be like, I'm choosing to spend the majority of my time there, as much time as I can get being there. So hopefully you like my song, because, I just want to do this. I just want to be in the truth. So I wanted to ask you all, what do you want for people to feel and experience during the show and in response to the show and in the aftermath of the show? Like, do you set sort of like an emotional goal, or, what is your hope? Or y'all's hopes?
I feel like first and foremost, I hope that we are aware that we are together, and that there is an invitation to be fully present and together. And that doesn't mean in some sort of fancy meditative place ready to receive. It doesn't have to be that. It can be I gotta pee and my foot hurts and I'm thinking and my cell phone's gonna go off because my babysitter needs me. So it's bring it all. It's welcome here. And look around, just look around. You don't even have to make eye contact. Just look around and like notice a thigh. You know what I mean? That we because I think it's like the first step towards radicalization in togetherness, to come away from the illusion of isolation, right? And it doesn't mean that we have to enjoy each other's company. Like that's a blessing. That'd be cool. But like we don't even have to do that. We just have to. So there's that. Then I think there's always this balance of reverence and irreverence, which is any really good midwife does naturally, any good death doula does naturally, right? Saying like, you are going to make life, and at the same time, we are all going to see you take a dump. That both of those things are going to happen.
It's all going to happen.
And we are
going to watch it come out.
It's all holy and it's all ridiculous, right? Here we are for it.
Scooping the poop out of the bathtub.
That's right. That is absolutely. You are going to see my hemorrhoids and you're going to see me make a life today. So that's good. So
yeah,
an awareness of that. So that hope, which I hope at its heart is a dispelling of shame, right? And then I feel like the work together is, can we tell the truth about the hardest shit in a way that turns us towards life? That's to me, that's the work of it, is saying, can we tell the truth about the hardest shit and want to live not despite of it, but actually say, this makes me want to live. Mm-hmm. This, the way things die makes me want to live. The way we have to travel through this world as she is now makes me want to live. We fail at that, but we try to fail as beautifully as we can, you know? So that's the, I feel like,
yeah.
And then there's this amazing thing that can happen where something bigger than you can name, can be fed. When human beings are in grief and joy together, some third animal that's hungry can waltz into the room and get a feast. And that's what I'm in it for, is to feed that third thing.
Yeah, yes. I do think it is about that, trying to craft that moment of unaloning, of really feeling genuinely like we are together at only this moment, at only this time, with only these bodies and only these minds and hearts, and that then it's going to be over. And in the hope that I think it's the thing that I'm reaching towards is what the art that I most love reaches towards, which is this feeling that as you walk out, I like the colors of my life are brighter, you know, like this feeling of like, oh my God. And I do think there is a reaching towards, I grew up in the church and turned away from all that, but there are some moments in it that still feed me, and we're not making something religious, but there is something in that space of all just being in a room to make sound together, and like in a service, it's not even really about like what like in church, it's not even really necessarily about what the pastor says or like what the choir is doing. It's like all of us in the room together are the thing that make that. And so I do think there's something in that, holy in a secular, profane sense. The holy moment is the thing that I'm always grasping towards.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
How did making this show change you and change your relationship?
If at all. No pressure.
Yeah. Maybe in no way at all, but.
I feel like it's in the moment of like still, I am actively in this moment of trying to integrate that whole experience into myself, and I, in big ways and small, it really has changed me. And I feel like we, and Abigail and I, like it takes a lot of with gardening, it takes a lot of tending in this relationship. We're carrying so much between us with the family and the work, and I really do feel like okay, just like in some small artistic ways, this one was structured more like a play than, our past work was much more in storytelling world. And this had that too, but we were also like writing scenes, and there was these new kinds of songs that we were writing with where we were being much looser with the song structure, rather than like strict like A B, whatever. It's like sort of following the ideas where they went. And so I feel like I learned a lot in terms of our process through that. I continue to learn more about myself as a performer, and figuring out new things that I can do, but also new ways that I can carry myself. So I'm able to do more that would have injured me, that I wouldn't have been able to sustain. And it's a constant journey. I don't feel like I'm at any sort of arrival point, but I do feel like I am, like it really pushed me to grow in that way.
I felt like it was our first, I have a bunch of access needs to be able to sustain performance and sustain my life. And it was the first show of certainly of this scale where I was really open and honest and turned those access needs into a collective project. Ooh. Instead of something I was sort of like sneakily trying to fit in somehow to the edges of a thing. Mm-hmm. So like that set had ramps built in. There were ice packs hidden all over the set for me to use whenever I wanted. There was water and electrolytes. People snuck me ice packs when they saw I needed one and I didn't have one. There was like choreo A, but then there was choreo B if I have more symptomatic that day. There was a reduced schedule. There was like I really felt, it's just what you're talking about, Shaun, things that had been harmful to me, or that I felt had to be harmful to me. The things I felt were like the price of admission, and things that I had to bear alone, and to sort of come out and be in some altered state and then go away and tent and heal privately. Instead, it was really saying, and I did not have to cancel one show. And in the past I have. And some of that is luck because I didn't get the flu or something. But some of it is that I was all right. And so that was a
access needs were all being met.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I could do it. I could do it, and I could do it as myself. So it was really, that was a big change. And I felt like that has filtered in to our care for each other too, which is always the first thing. But Shaun and I care for each other first. And so the more other people are invited into that care, I feel like the less onus is on just each other too, which is exciting.
Good lesson.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's not
Seems smart. Seems smart.
It might be wise.
Yeah, we worked with an access dramaturg, this wonderful friend named Allison Kopit, who comes from doing access work in other fields and has just in the last few years started working in theater. Yeah. Wow. She's this really wonderful disabled autistic artist, and helped us craft a process and helped us, like, so much of access work, it's just like by necessity, it's messy, it's conversations. It's not, there's no just like checklist that you can just, go down the list and you're set. It's like constant negotiations. And the other big discovery over these last few years is we got autism diagnoses, which explains so much of our mysterious, like a big thing for me is just hours being short. Like just being out in community and doing the work, my stimulation just builds and builds and builds. And if it gets past a certain point, my whole body shuts down. And then I'm just like, I'm out. And so I've known this my whole life, but it was always just like a conversation of like, either feeling like, why am I so special and deserve to like not like work as hard or something? Do you know what I mean? Or this feeling from others of like, yeah, just like suck it up, we'll get through it. And that, just destroyed me over and over, and Abigail too. And so just having such clarity of language, that it's like not something I've made up, even though like it's been true for decades. But once again, like there's like so many people involved and so many professional needs and like departmental needs of things that need to happen. And so it's just constant negotiation around scheduling and everything. And Allison was there, our wonderful manager, Erica Rothstein, was there to help us move through these conversations. And also with autism, like the conversations are the hardest part. It's going to be like the deepest thing. That's also the thing that I need the most resources for. And so when we're like weeks into the process, and I'm like already kind of all spent, and then like needing to figure out how are we going to get these three things happening, and so, but like having moved into the process, knowing this with our advocates and with everyone, just the whole organization just being like, hell yes. There was just like never a sense of pushback. It wasn't always, like we would have to work to find clarity together, but there was always that desire to find it. And that was like, we've started to get a little bit of it as we've come to know more about ourselves over the last few years. But this was the first process where I felt like the whole time it was just like, go team, go.
Wow.
And it was a really beautiful, really moving thing.
Wow. Access is magic.
It really is. And I love that you both got your diagnoses in this together too.
Wow.
And actually, one of our dear friends who's worked with us in disability space and is an icon in his own right, he heard our love story and he said, that's the most autistic thing I've ever heard in my life.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Like, oh, okay. Maybe that explains something.
We are love on the spectrum. This is it.
Wow. Thank you so much for so beautifully sharing your story and sharing the story of your love, the story of the show, who you are in the world. Thank you for the gift of all the work that you make. We're grateful, gratified, humbled to get to be in artistic community, spiritual community with you both, and to get to highlight your work on our show is just chef's kiss.
It's such a huge gift. And it really is so, I keep getting spiritual guidance like that this is a time to really just be, to like really drop into like who you're meant to be on this earth and be that now. And where it is revolutionary, be revolutionary, and where it is the artistry of life. And I think that's what y'all taught us all in this conversation, and what you're teaching and offering and making available through the show is like, here's who we are, and we're just going to be that. And here's what we're called to make, and we're going to make that. And we're going to find a way to create a community that can hold us being the way we are, divergent in these particular ways and having these needs. And, I'm always drawn to that juxtaposition between neurodivergence and huge creative capacity, right? That there's something about like, I'm not fully plugged into the mainstream. I'm not fully plugged into the way things are. It doesn't fully make sense to me, and it never has. But because of that, I can see like 14 more shades of the rainbow. And I'd love to tell you about that and see if we can expand your perspective. And y'all are just like those kind of rainbow growth people. So We love having you here. We love y'all so much. And we're going to do top culture with y'all. So we're going to make sure y'all come back and get some top culture with us and the Bengsons. If you loved this show, you can find that over on Patreon.
Shake these bones, oh, we're gonna shake these bones, oh, we're gonna
Thanks
shake
for
these
listening to
bones,
our
shake
show.
these
We're
bones.
on Instagram at End of the World PC.
You can make a sustaining donation to our show by visiting that space I talked about just a second ago called patreon.com/Into the World Show. Oh my God. The music that's always playing during these closing credits is the Bengsons.
It's the Bengsons!
Shake these bones, shake these bones. That's them. Just so y'all know. Okay, sorry.
I love you so much.
Did you want to say the thing about if you become a patron?
Oh, yeah. And if you become a patron or you are one already, you get our show inside a show, Talk Culture, which we release every Monday after our Friday episodes.
Another incredible thing you can do to help our show sustain itself is to write us a review on Apple Podcasts if you're an iPhone person. This helps people looking for good new content to find us. Thank you.
How to Survive the End of the World is also produced and edited by the super sweet Zach Rosen. Transcripts are in our show notes and on our website at endoftheworldshow.org. And special thanks to Samira Abdurrahman, who is the queen of my life right now and really managing everything.
Gets it all together.
Really,
Music for
seriously.
today's show comes from Autumn, the band,
The band.
Tunde Alaniran, Mother Cyborg, and the Bengsons.
The Bengsons. We love y'all.
Love you guys.